Hey everyone, David C. Anderson here, coming at you from the KnifeCenter, and as promised, this is the second episode this week of the coolest new knives that have just hit our shelves. Let's check them out. So we've got a bunch of stuff that is dropping today, specifically dropping today. Some stuff's dropping tomorrow, something that dropped yesterday too, and that's like the first 2/5 of our table essentially right here. The first KnifeCenter is getting to exclusively debut the latest version of the titanium Andrew Demko AD 20.5s, now with the textured finish, with that kind of diamond patterned gunstock type of milling. Very, very cool indeed. Both blade shapes, shark's foot, which is their tongue-in-cheek name for the sheep's foot shape here, and the clip point blade, both in stone-washed 3V, paired up with those cool handles. And the price is on both $375 right now. Clip point's just over 3 inches, like 3.2. The sharks. That's
cheek foot.
Between a sheep foot and a shark's foot, like shark cheek foot. I don't know. The shark's foot blade itself is a 3-inch blade, so if you need that specific measurement for where you live or where you're taking this knife, that's good to have too. And despite that shorter blade size, especially now with the titanium handles, you've got a really stout platform to get work done. Blade thickness is about 1/8 of an inch, maybe just shy of that. 3V steel, nice and tough, good edge holding too. Saber height, flat grind, really solid. And the titanium feels even more solid behind it. Great feel in the hand. The texture is very, very nice indeed. You can just feel kind of the tips of the peaks a little bit. Maybe could be a little bit smoother for some, but some of you folks out there I think are really going to appreciate the kind of fine line of aggression that those walk. Not too pocket shreddy, but a little bit pocket shreddy perhaps. Pocket clip, 2 are included in the package. You've got one for the right side, another for the left, which is great because we've got the ambidextrous shark lock on these knives, which means either hand can use it equally well, and it is finger safe too when you go to operate it. Flicks closed really easily, flicks open really nicely too. Solid feel, you can choke up a little bit. It's not quite a full finger choil there for choking up, but you can get a little bit of fingertip control on it. Just super solid. I feel like I've talked a lot about a knife that really is one of those that's self-evidently cool. I probably don't need to say as much as I did for you folks to get it. Just try and stop me talking about knives.
I gave up.
My wife's really happy I have this job because I talk about knives here now and talk about knives at home less than I used to. Not none, but less, you know. Really cool, available right now, dropping today, in fact. Next up, we have a new Work Tuff fixed blade dropping today. The second run of the Puzon Wilderness Buoy. Very, very cool knife. This is one of those that just makes me smile. Price on this coming in about $239. You've got a just over 9-inch blade of 1/4 inch thick SK85 steel, which is just the new name for SK5. They changed the name of the steel itself, but it is the same stuff. Not the edge retention champ, but it is highly durable and highly tough for a big knife like this. And where Work Tuff really makes their name is doing these large fixed blades with a level of fit and finish you might not always expect at this size, at this given price point. I mean, they're exceptionally well done. Just look at the edge. I mean, that is the most visible element that I think communicates well across a video like this, because the edge is a little bit thicker here because, you know, it's a big choppy fixed blade, but as a result, you can really see the level of refinement going on there. It's convex edge, it's almost a mirror polish. So it's really close to a mirror polish. Really, really awesome to see from a production knife. The handles are G10, they're layered green and black, and we've got red liners there. Check out the shape of that handle, not simple slabs here at all. And that really helps with the feel in the hand. Has a real solid kind of anchor grip when you hold it there in just your typical hammer grip. And it's long enough, it's not quite something you could say there's like multiple hand positions on the handle, but it's approaching that. My hands are slightly larger than average, but even if I were wearing gloves, I've still got plenty of room here. You can choke back just a little bit onto that, that swelled pommel there at the back. Kind of kukri-esque or kukri-inspired, I would say. And combined with the swell at the front, it really locks your hand in, feels very solid. Chopping at air here in the studio, granted, but feels really good. And then you can choke up, of course, into that generous finger choil there, get you right behind that edge itself. It is pretty well balanced there on that finger choil area, so it helps to make this larger blade a little bit more nimble. Normally when you've got a balance point at a spot like that, the knife feels nearly effortless. Because of the weight of this knife, it's not quite as effortless as some. You're still going to feel the weight a bit, but it is controllable, which is very cool. But using this at camp, whether you're chopping firewood, splitting wood, doing the small stuff in a pinch, or it's just a classic Bowie in a way. Look at that blade shape. Very, very prototypical Bowie-esque in a way, but it's going to work great as a camp knife. That's what I think, you know, with a name like Wilderness, it's certainly intended for that. Kydex sheath. Whew. That was resounding when I popped that in there. Feels, you know, that tells you something right there. Feels great. Retention is wonderful. This comes with a Tech-Lock style clip, so you could belt carry this if you wish. It's quite a bit of weight, however. Also comes with a fire steel and a beer koozie as well. Well, beverage koozie. Put it out there. Very, very cool knives. We don't have a ton of these, but we do have some launching again today.
I think all it needs is a neck lanyard.
Oh, neck carry that. What are you, Big Chris? Oh, actually, I held it in a grip there. That reminded me of one thing. You see these little scallops here at the front? Normally you think, oh, thumb scallops. It's less about the thumb pinch, at least for me. It's a little small for that, but it does a great job of knocking off the corner where you're going to be wrapping around into that finger choil. So you can see right there, my index finger on the other side rests right in there. Nice thoughtful touch right there. Well done. Next up, also launching today, the latest version of the Benchmade Mini Bugout in a familiar package. We've seen this kind of configuration in the full-size Bugout. We've got S90V blade steel with a contoured carbon fiber handle and a nice accenting backspacer on the back there that doesn't come on these standard models. $270 for this. Your blade is about 2.8 inches long. Versatile drop point shape, high flat grind. First production listed here on this particular knife. Great little gentleman's knife, or lady's knife too. It's super lightweight, is going to fit into virtually any pocket out there, even, you know, the ladies out there that have the really kind of vestigial pockets on a lot of your clothes. This stands a fighting chance at least of working there. Deep carry pocket clip, reversible, dual thumb studs, ambidextrous lock. Great for lefties and righties. A little bit more effort to flick it open just because it is smaller. You're dealing with a little bit less mass, but super solid. Nice thin blade stock. Yeah, classy everyday carry, whether you're using it as a formal knife or just something a little special day to day. What's more to say? It's the Mini Bugout, just now more awesome. S90V. Fantastic edge retention right there, which is always good to see, especially on smaller knives since you've got less edge to start with. You want it to last as long as you can make it last, so very cool. Next up is a new Benchmade fixed blade that dropped Tuesday this week. Maybe I should have had this in the other video.
Probably.
Yeah.
Too late now.
It is the Flyway. Also, you can see first production there on the back. $180 for this, and it is part of their hunt line, which is probably pretty apparent right here. Not only does it bear the visual cues that you've seen on a couple other of their hunt products so far, you can also see that nice thin CPM 154 blade, 2.7 inches long, full flat grind, sweeping belly there. Fantastic little bird and trout knife. That is such a nimble little blade. You can get right out there near the tip. There's a little bit of jimping a little further back, so even if you choke back a little bit, you've got some traction there. And you can go up, hide that tip, keep it from puncturing stuff. Very manipulatable handle. It's probably a real word.
Is now.
Orange G10, some crenellations on the spine at the back to give you a little extra traction. Just make sure to keep that clean in a blood-soaked fish and game scenario. Likewise with the pins there. I think this would also make a really good everyday carry. It's like a scalpel. Whew, very nice. Like I said, CPM 154, really good stuff. You've got a bolt-around sheath that could easily be slipped into the pocket. There's no kind of belt attachment or clip to go with this, but your standard tech locks or small tech locks will fit this. Mummert clips, ulti clips, all gonna do a really good job letting you carry that kind of however you wish. But as it is, I'd say it's primarily set up for neck carry, I would say. Super easy to add your paracord or whatever to that. The weight is not listed on the website. Oh, dang. I have to have a word with our people. But it is quite light. It's not quite Bugout light, and certainly not mini Bugout carbon fiber light, but it's going to be a very easy knife to carry. It's going to get a lot of slicing done for sure. All right, next up, dropping tomorrow. This is Thursday when this episode posts. These Chaves knives are dropping on the Friday right after this video. The Redencion 229. 4 versions of this are going to be available. 2 handles and 2 blade shapes, essentially. You've got both of them are titanium frame locks with one of the things I love so much about these Chaves knives is how just narrow and clean that lock bar cut is. I mean, it has, the tolerances there are insanely small. I'm not sure what they're using to actually cut that, but you've got like no space for a tool to even fit in there. But obviously some kind of tool is fitting in there or whatever their process is. Love that. But both are titanium frame locks. We've got G10 or titanium for the front, stonewashed titanium, black G10. And then you have the drop point blade with compound grinds and the Tonto blade, also of course with compound grinds. Both of them hollow ground at the heel section and flat ground at the tip. Very nice. You got a little bit, less edge or less thickness behind the edge for your cuts back here and a little more durability at the tip. These are made by Riot, so the pricing is kept relatively under control compared to full Chaves customs, of course. Not cheap knives nonetheless. $345 for the G10, $375 for the all titanium versions. And they come with 2 pocket clips. You have the signature Chaves skull, which of course sends a statement, it makes a statement. It might be a little more than some folks out there want to make, but as such, you have that second clip there included. It kind of has a similar, kind of wide vibe to it, but less scully, so to speak. More Molder, less scully. Yeah.
I want to believe you.
Well done. As far as the action on these, it's kind of funny. See, it worked just fine for me now. That seems to be a trend lately, where I say, "Oh, I'm not too great at this," and then it works just fine. For me, you just got to really make sure you're not putting pressure on the lock bar, otherwise it can be a little tricky to flick open. I guess maybe I'm just getting used to Chaves. It doesn't bother me anymore, or I don't notice it anymore. Could be interesting. But the fit and finish on these, however kind of stripped down they look, everything is perfect. I mean, it's a Riot made knife, which is to say amongst the best production knives you can get at any price. All right, next up is a knife that dropped yesterday, at least in terms of when this video is posting, not in terms of when we're actually filming it. And the reason I'm including it is because we're not sure if this is going to be one of those Spyderco sprint runs that just shoots out the door as soon as they're up, or whether it's going to hang around for a little bit. But it's a cool knife, so even if it has sold out, I do want to show it to you, and it is the Spyderco Pitts. It is a titanium frame lock flipper? No, in fact, it is not. It is a titanium handled slip joint that is made in Italy and feels very, very cool. Price on these is $280, and if you're looking for a classy, modern slip joint that could truly take the place, if you need it to, of a locking blade, this could be it. You do have a little bit of a tab sticking out there at the back, which makes you think, oh, it might be a flipper tab. But that just kind of further confuses the picture because it is a slip joint. No half stop, just smooth, steady, pressure to open with it increasing slightly there at the end. And really cool thing, I've seen this a few places before, but not often. The titanium frame or handle itself is actually acting as the back spring. You can see it pop up right there. Very cool. You got that stop pin going on to keep it secure when it is in the open position. Speaking of which, security in the open position, nice solid grip, plenty of length for even my slightly larger than average hands, and that tab that makes you think, oh, it's kind of flipper-esque, does serve a purpose when open because it protects the blade, or it protects it from closing on your fingers if you've got a solid grip on that. Because if the blade were to disengage, your finger is there to stop it, of course. Let's talk about the blade. Haven't done that yet. M390 steel, full flat grind, just under 3 inches. So it hits a lot of key metrics for places you might need to carry a non-locking knife as well. Very cool shape. Reversible wire pocket clip. Completely ambidextrous knife right here, of course. It's very cool. I like the feel in the hand. I like the little bevel here at the front for your pinch grip considerations. How cool is that? I'd probably wind up buying one. We'll see. I did just buy a new house. But that's a very, very cool knife indeed. And hopefully by the time you're watching this, there might be a few left as well. Hope so. All right, next up, we have a new Boker, and that is the Little Friend by Jesper Vaknes. And this is a cool knife. One of my favorites of Boker's kind of mid-year releases. I kind of think of this as an evolution of the F3 Boker knife that they had before. It's a little less thick in the blade, although it's still pretty thick on the blade stock, and it has a drop point rather than a clip point, a little less belly. But the language on the handle is definitely there, because of course this is a Jesper Vaknes design, and you can definitely tell a Vaknes design because he has really established his visual identity. But this one even still says F3 to me. I like it. 143 and change for this knife, or just about 144. S35 VN blade steel, just a hair over 3 inches it looks like. Nice horizontal grain, super classy looking finish. And a not black handle. Would have been so easy for them to release the just the black handled version of this, which, there's a reason they do it. Black handles sell, but I'm always happy to see extra color. Burgundy G10, gold anodized, I believe, backspacer here. Doesn't look painted or anything like that. And gold pivot collars as well. Super cool. Inset liner lock, deep carry clip, which is single side only, but it's nested in, and you've got flush mounted screws, going to be very kind to the hems of your pocket. Flipper tab with ball bearings, works great. Got a small-ish choil there at the front. If you have smaller fingers than mine, you'll have a little better time with it. And then you got the signature teardrop opening hole as well, which works in all the different ways that you can manipulate something like that. Truly a little friend for EDC, although not that little, really. Like, it fills the hand nicely. You've got a fairly thick blade stock material there. I mean, that's like 5/32 of an inch or thereabouts. High flat grind to keep it slicey enough given that thickness, but gonna be a pretty rugged knife to carry around. Actually, next up, let's get back to some non-lockers. We have the new Terminus SJ from SOG. SJ for slip joint, even though this is not a actual traditional slip joint in terms of having the back spring there. It is more like some of the dual detent joint knives out there, but they're doing something a little bit different. You don't see, looking from the inside, you don't see the detent bars squeezing in when the knife is in the open position. So I'm actually not 100% sure how they're doing their non-locking mechanism, but I like it personally anyway, better than a lot of those double detent joints because it requires a bit more pressure than most of those knives do. Maybe close to a traditional slip joint in that regard. So that's pretty nice. D2 blade steel for about $60 with that 3-inch blade. You can also get it with S35 VN with either a gold coating or a gray coating on the blade itself. Those come in about $145 right now. G10 handles, this one is green. wraparound pocket clip mounted from the tail right there, and it is reversible, as you can see. Again, good ambidextrous slip joint option because you've even got a nail nick on each side of the blade. Very cool. No kind of positive protection if the blade were to close on you, but that's true of most traditional slip joints. But this one has the vibe of the great Terminus XR, which has been a fantastic knife in their lineup. It's a little bit slimmer, not quite as chunky in the hand. Blade stock might be a little bit thinner as well. I'm not sure, I don't have one there in front of me to compare it to, but the handle is definitely a little bit slimmer. Yeah, offering something a little bit more than just making it a slip joint, giving a whole new way to carry this design. And next up, well, almost a slip joint. It is a Victorinox Swiss Army knife, but it is a locking blade. This is the 2022 limited edition Picknicker. It comes in about $375 right now. For that, the biggest change that you're going to see from most of the Swiss Army knives this size is not just wood handle scales. You see that occasionally, but the blade steel itself gets a bump up to Damast steel, which is of course based on the RWL 34 powder steel, which is essentially the same stuff as CPM 154 powder steel. So if you're looking for a Swiss Army style knife with upgraded blade steel, especially one that is in fact an official Swiss Army knife, you're gonna get that performance with this, as well as getting a stunning looking blade too. Very, very cool. Now the handles themselves on this one, it is pear wood. It's pretty cool. Not sure if that's how hard or soft that is, but it does have a nice character. You've even got a little beauty mark on this front scale here. But apart from that, it is the same tool set. You've got that liner locking main blade. Opposite that, we have a locking cap lifter with your screwdriver tip. We have the bottle opener on the opposite side.
Can opener.
Thank you, Thomas. I don't know why I do that so many times. And then, Thomas, look. Cheese. It's a cheese knife. It's your favorite thing. There you go. Actual sharpened edge right there. You've got holes in the blade, theoretically to reduce drag, and then you've got the little fork there on the end, even though the tines aren't super crisp. Super crisp? I don't know what I'm saying. Now, interestingly, the Picknicker is a standard model. You can get it with red handle scales, the Celador scales, for about $53, but for some reason, that version does not have the cheese knife. Not sure why. They didn't call this a different model, but it is the Damast Picknicker for this year. You get that cool cheese knife going on. Nice. Thomas, any thoughts?
Hungry.
Yes. There's some good cheeses that go with pears too, actually. Like some good gorgonzola.
Pears always seemed like knockoff apples to me.
Knockoff apples. Oh, I had a very like Pinky's Out hoity-toity pizza at one point. It was pear, gorgonzola, and some kind of microgreens or something on top.
Sacrilege.
I'm not even gonna lie, it was good. It was rather tasty.
Get out.
No, I'm gonna stay right here and talk about knives some more. Speaking of, we have some new O-Knifes this week, and they're venturing into the kitchen category with two collaborations with Chris Conway of Sheepdog Knives. We have two blade shapes to choose from. We have a Kuritsuke 8-inch blade, which is a little bit more like a, we'll say a little bit more like a traditional chef's or Santoku knife at this point. And you have a 7-inch Nakiri blade, which is a little more like that sheepdog cleaver, wouldn't you say? You've got that signature kind of notch out of the leading top edge right there. $99.95 for both of these knives. And based on their kind of Japanese heritage, I'm going to say they intend this to be pronounced Oremake, but I have a hard time not seeing Oremake on it. Whatever you want to call it. They're pretty cool looking. OS 10 core blades with cladding or Damascus cladding on either side. So it's a good steel selection for your actual sharpened edge and looks good to boot. High polished G10 handles, maybe a little bit slippery, but the actual shape of the grip is quite nice. We've got copper inlays on both of these. We say copper, they look more brassy if I'm honest. But our website says copper. But the shape, like I said, is pretty nice. It melts away so cleanly into the pinch grip that you'd want to hold this knife there at the front of the scales. It just stays right out of the way, which is quite nice. As far as balance, they may be a little bit handle heavy, but they are comfortable. The edges themselves are well done, and of course, they also look fantastic for not a lot of money too. And when I say that, it is of course compared to the rest of the kitchen knife world. $100 for something of that caliber seems pretty spot on to me. A couple new folders from Olight this week as well. We have a smaller version of their original knife, which is the Drever, or Drever, not sure how it's pronounced, but this knife is named after a famous actress. It's the Mini Drever. Mini Drever. I like this even better, actually a lot better than the original Drever, which was a fine knife, but it didn't kind of speak to me. This one, however, the more compact dimensions, translating the same kind of shapes into this smaller size, make it work, I think, fantastically. We've got a 2.5-inch blade, N690 steel, blacked out, blue thumb studs, blue pivot, blue liners, which we've got a liner lock as well, and some cutouts in the sculpted G10 handles that you see those blue liners as well. Very cool. And just look at those kind of taut dimensions. The curves, the lines work great. Modified sheep's foot blade, full flat grind, nice little shape. As far as the action, we've got ball bearings in the pivot, so you can flip it, you can thumb flick it, you can probably reverse flick it too, haven't tried yet, works great. Deep carry pocket clip, right side tip up only, but milled down and flush mounted screws. Very cool execution right there. Feels great too. Just feels built very well. $66 for this knife right now. Next up, same kind of color scheme. We've got the Chital, something like that. Two sizes. You got a 3.2-inch and a 2.75-inch trailing point blade. Both of them same price, about $50 right now. And they come with D2 blade steel, which on a blade like this that might be kind of seen as maybe a skinning type profile, even though I wouldn't say this is a hunting knife, D2's always been kind of a classic hunting knife steel selection, so that's kind of cool. Full flat grind again right here. Black liners though, no blue liners like the Mini Drever over there. Milled pocket clip follows the same playbook with its pocketed recess and its flush screws. And then, oh, that's really snappy with those ball bearings there, and that detent is tuned just great. It's really cool to see them kind of going whole, like diving in with both feet, so to speak. When I saw their first knives, at least, I wondered how far it was going to go. They're really committing to the project, so good on them for sure. Last but not least, I've got 3 new QSPs, and first up is a new Parrot, which at about $25, the base model Parrot is about the best deal in the knife world you can get right now. The SU Chirp we showed last week is pretty close, but for $5 more, you do get even so much more with a knife like this. This one right here is upgraded a little bit. We've got denim micarta handles here, and it's about $29. Still a fantastic deal. What you're getting here is a knife that's put together exceptionally well for its price point, and I do mean exceptionally well. 3.25-inch blade, spear point, full flat ground D2 steel. Blade stock is neither too thick nor too thin. It's kind of sits somewhere in the middle for a knife this size. It's going to work really well for most things. It's a versatile blade shape. Pocket clip is reversible, but it's not a deep carry if that is something you're looking for. Liner lock, and one of the nice things at this price point for the action you get, which, take a look again, is great, washers in the pivot here. So a little bit more, rough and tumble, a little bit easier to keep clean from dust and dirt and that sort of thing, as opposed to a ball bearing pivot. So hard to argue with the value of these knives. They're just exceptionally good. But they do some fancier stuff as well, including this Osprey right here. About $60 for this one, and most of that is going towards the upgraded handle material there. Shredded carbon fiber with some red resin in there. We've also got Sandvik 14C28N stainless steel. Very solid stuff. 3.25 inches long here. High flat grind. Just nice little versatile shape here too, even though we've got a straight spine, not quite a drop point here. quite nice. Wire pocket clip, reversible. Micarta backspacer, that's pretty interesting. You don't see too much of that. And because it protrudes a little bit to house that lanyard hole there, you get to see a little bit more of it too. Very cool. And then this knife, I believe, comes, yes, with ball bearings. So you got a different feel than the washers. Of course, it costs a little bit more than typical brass washers or bronze washers do. But it comes together in a very nice knife right here. A couple different colors have just hit the site. Same thing with that new Parrot. And the same thing for this final knife, which is the Mamba V2. This one has a really nice green micarta. Price on it is coming in $47, 3.5-inch D2 blade right here. And check out that very cool straight clip point we've got going on. It's kind of an interesting shape. The spine and the edge aren't perfectly parallel. The spine or the edge is kind of creeping up a little bit as it goes. So it has a very kind of quick look to it, like it's ready to reach out and cut, which is pretty cool. Again, we've got blade thickness here, kind of middle of the road with a full flat grind. It's going to work across a broad variety of chores. Pivot, we've got ball bearings in this one. Quite good action. Deep carry pocket clip on this one, however, as opposed to the Parrot we just looked at. They do sit in a pocket. The screws are not flush mounted, so a little bit more to get around than some of the flush-mounted screws there, but plenty of clearance there, so not going to be a big problem. And reversibility on this one too. Yeah, just solid EDC shape, great piercer, and fun to use, and a great value to boot. All right, that is all I have to show you this week. Let me know what you thought of these knives down in the comments below, and if you want to get your hands on them, especially some of these where we might have limited quantities, make sure to use the links in the description to take you over to KnifeCenter.com. Don't forget about our Knife Rewards program, because if you're putting your money down on one of these knives today, you might as well be earning some free money to spend on your next one. I'm David C. Anderson from the Knife Center. That's Thomas behind the camera, and we're signing off. See you next time.